What's up? I know people are going to be trickling in because I'm just sort of randomly dropping this on you guys. I'll let everybody jump in here. I don't know how many of you guys are here in the DMV. I mean, I basically the hat is a Vancouver Grizzlies hat. Take that. Um, Scott, by the way, if you would like to come on, tell me. I'm happy to have a buddy. Anyway, this is ridiculous. I basically didn't go outside yesterday for the 80 degrees because whatever. And then today it's freaking snowing, like snowing. Like it was like the grass was like covered, and then the sun came out, and now it doesn't look like anything happened. This is maddening. Uh, Come on, pick a lane here. Not to mention pick the good lane. Let's get to the 80. Don't tease me with 80 um and then be a mess with this nonsense. All right, so I did just wanted to touch base with everybody. As I said yesterday, I had plans to come back on here last night with Mike Smelt and have a conversation about everything that was going on. You know, day got away from us, things were going on. But we're back here today, and look at this. Lo and behold, Scott Jackson, Commanders post game show host, the radio god down in Virginia Beach. By the way, how's it going down there today? You guys had some terrible news.
Yeah, scary thing at ODU with the shooting, and luckily, you hate to say this, like luckily it was just what it was, but it was still serious. Obviously, somebody was killed here. Professor, the shooter was killed as well. But just crazy stuff, and obviously the information is still coming out, whether it was a terror situation or all these other things that they're investigating. But was just shocking. I mean, where I went to school, like where I spent a lot of time, and I still spend a lot of time on campus over there, and not the news I expected to see this morning. And, this it's weird just because I was talking to a bunch of buddies of mine who went to school down here and lived down here, and we're like this kind of thing never happened when you were in school, right? Like this is something that's just a newish thing that goes on, but it's it could have been worse, but it was still bad enough. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's kind of like that type of situation.
yeah. Well,
Yeah. So
best wishes to everybody down
anyway,
there. You're a big
thank
part
you.
of that program, the hoops and football program, home of Taylor Heineke, of course.
That's right, my boy.
Yeah. All right. So, I just was coming on just to sort of recap the day. They had two signings. Trent Scott, he's back, but the most notable one, Rachaad White. How I feel like we've been manifesting this since like at whatever point the season started getting away from everybody, we just started looking ahead. And it's like, okay, well, now what? And you look, hey, Rachaad White, he's a free agent, he's a pass catcher, and he played college with Jaden Daniels. Sold. And it took forever, meaning 4 days, but, like, he was literally, like, the last toy on the shelf. Like, all the other running backs of any kind of
Yeah.
note were kinda picked, and you're like, "Okay, well, he's sitting right there. What's the problem?" I'm assuming Adam Peters is what he does, had a price, he didn't budge, and then eventually Rachaad White, I'm assuming, was like, "All right, fine." Um, but it's a good move. I mean, all things considered, he's, like, almost the perfect type of back, averages 50 catches a year, good pass blocker. He can be the lead back if needed. He almost had a 1,000-yard season early in his career, and he's a good complement to Bill. So, I mean, again, I'm not saying it's Kelvin Bryant from back in the day for the old heads, but it's a pretty good move at 4 days into free agency.
Yeah, and again, the Adam Peters special, right? Low price, man. Like they're saying it's a 1 year, 2 million. And I just see that a little while ago. Somebody shared that. If that's the case, that's a bargain. Yeah, I mean, he's an he look, they lost, Eckler's gone. Obviously, he's not coming back. So I think it certainly he's that type of pass catcher. He's a route runner, as well. He can come out of the backfield and do some stuff, makes people miss. It's interesting down there. He kind of got caught in that back by committee world with Bucky Irving was kind of like the guy they started liking more. And then Tucker, obviously, was part of that too for a couple of weeks. He was kind of the bigger part of the offense. And then Rachaad White was the more dependable guy. But yeah, it's cool. I kind of, I kind of hoped this would happen, and it made sense when Rodriguez, why they don't probably think he fits as well in this offense because they want somebody to catch the ball in the backfield. So I understand that, but it just was a little obvious that Rachaad White's options appeared to be limiting once the Buccaneers like initially just came to terms with Kenneth Gainwell, which is like the guy who does exactly what he does. So I thought, okay, well, he's going to be available. I understand Jacksonville had some interest there at one point, obviously because of Liam Cohen's relationship, and they went to Rodriguez, different kind of back yesterday with that deal. So yeah, it was good to see, but it does feel like he kind of talked this up right in the offseason. There's some video of him on some interview, like Bucky Irvin talking about playing with Jaden. So, and then the media here seemed to be very excited about it. But heck of a turnaround for Adam Peters, right? He was the worst general manager in the NFL. 40 minutes into the tampering time, and now everybody's pretty excited about him again. So, just goes to show you that free agency, shockingly, Ben, does not start and stop on day one or in the first hour. As a matter of fact, of tampering. Just
It
let
does
the kids out there know that.
it does not. And sometimes it's like we all know in life, sometimes the best deals you make are the ones you don't make, you
Right,
know? So
right.
like I wouldn't have personally been in love with giving Alec Pierce 29 million a
Oh,
year.
no,
Um, but yeah, who knows if they do that, then maybe they don't get Oweh or who knows what happened.
right,
Or some of these other moves, maybe they don't get Chigakonkwo, who talked to the media today for a little bit. Yeah, I spoke up, but in terms of Rachaad White and Jane Daniels, I talked earlier with Greg Allman, who covers the NFC South for Fox Sports, but he also is in Tampa, so he's a long time Bucks
right,
rider. So we were talking about this, and he said that he remembers before Jane Daniels even like going to be like the number one guy, like any of that. He said that Rachaad White was like one day, like after some game, went to the podium and was wearing like some sort of Jaden Daniels T-shirt,
funny.
yeah. So he's like that talked up. So it's hilarious. All this time we've spent, ironically, when when Washington played last year against the Cardinals, they spent the week in Arizona,
Right.
and we were out there for a week. I was, it felt like I was home after a while, so I literally bought an Arizona State
Oh,
coffee
nice.
mug. So I'm part of that too. But we're all this time we're talking about getting in Brandon Ayuk because they were teammates, and then
Uh,
here comes a different teammate. Maybe this is the way of saying to Jaden, "Hey, we can't bring in that guy, but we'll give you somebody."
yeah, I want to talk to you about that because I know you saw the video that I saw today that was disturbing from TJ Hushmanzada. Well, that disturbing is maybe a little extreme. The TJ Hushmanzada brought, like, he likes the kid, he worked with the kid, but he did admit he doesn't know where he is, right? He doesn't understand how you could do something as crazy as he did with throwing away that kind of money this early in his career. He pointed out, like, with guys like Stephon Diggs and stuff, like, it's like later in their career, right? The things have cropped up, not early when they needed to make their money. And like, this has been my feeling on Brandon Ayuk, and who knows if they go down that road. And again, nobody will have a better file on him than Adam Peters. I get it. And I get a lot of this from fans. I'm sure you do as well. Hey, well, Jaden can take care of him. Like, no, Jaden doesn't need to be a freaking babysitter or somebody's guardian. Okay. He's got enough on his plate trying to be the franchise quarterback. All right. So, like,
Plus,
get that crap out.
you want like the Bobby Wagner to be there
Right.
to help Jaden, not the
Right.
other way around.
Right. Right. That's just crazy to me. If he's the, and again, who the hell knows where this guy is? Number one, the 49ers have not cut him. Number one, right? I know you probably have more on this, but there's some people that have said like they haven't been able to get in touch with him, and I mean it's kind of crazy what's going on with the guy. And I'm not trying to be like hyperbolic here, but I mean let's first find out if the guy's mentally well. I mean I don't know. I mean what he did made no sense to not just throw away that money, but then like he had an opportunity to use the NFLPA, and they'll obviously go to that for any of their guys, right? To give you a shot, to help you out, and he didn't take that opportunity. He just like, yeah, whatever, so what? They can void my contract. Like he didn't even try to fight it, which is just crazy to me. I was already out on him when he was doing his hold in or whatever that whole act was, trying to get the extension when he shared Jaden Daniels' screen, with Commander's practice, which is completely ridiculous. Like, don't do that to your friends. It's weird. I've been out on him since then, but look, I get it. There's talent there. We don't know if he's healthy physically or mentally. I would just be very careful and cautious move in that direction. And Zada said, look, at the end of the day, he would, he can understand why teams decide it, but he said you got to do a 1 year team friendly, like show me that you're okay deal. And this is a guy, again, who worked with him and like likes him, but also has not spoken to him in quite some time, which is also a little interesting. The last thing I think we remember seeing from him was that weird video he put out driving by the stadium, but I don't know. I'm not on all the social platforms, so maybe he's out on some other platform doing stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's possible that too. The interesting thing for me about the Hujmanzada stuff, and it's nothing I can really get into, but like, you know, trying to figure because like after everything that happened yesterday, you're like, okay,
Yeah,
it ticked off a lot of boxes here. It's still kind of a there was Rashad White was going to happen. I don't know what was going on. Like, okay, what are they doing at receiver? The market's kind of picked over,
yeah,
so you're like, all right, is this and like everybody is acting like Ayuk is 100% coming here. I mean, like people
right,
are just like they're not even saying if. It's almost like when. Okay, so I tried checking, asking people around the league, and I had somebody who I think would know things, like, was kinda, like, giving me similar story to what
yep,
Houshmandzadeh was saying, and, look, I don't know. I mean, you hope the guy's alright and all that, but in terms
right,
of this football team, I mean, at a minimum, if they really want to do this, you still need to go out and get somebody else. I mean, again, there's not a
yeah,
ton left. You
right.
got Darnell Mooney, Hollywood Brown, Keenan Allen,
What about
no
De'Ami Brown
oh,
coming back on the cheap? Like De'Ami Brown played really well down the stretch. I'm not saying he's necessarily a strong number two candidate. You'd like to
right.
think that Jalen Lane or Luke grows up in that role, right, or Perks, but I don't know. I mean, I just like De'Ami. At least you know what he does, right? He can open up some things for you. He can get downfield, go get some footballs for you. And again, he and the quarterback have a good relationship. I was kind of hoping if they were going to do some of the cheap, they'd go to OZ, but OZ quickly signed
He
in
signed, like,
Atlanta
10
again.
seconds into free agency.
I know. It was crazy. It was really
Yeah.
weird. But
No, I mean,
anyway, I
Deami
don't know. I wouldn't be against
well
Brown. I wouldn't be against De'Ami Brown coming back here. I think that would be a good fit.
oh, I agree, like, if they sign so, like, Jawan Jennings is still out there, and that was the other thing I
Yep.
was trying to, like, look into, like, Ayuk, Jennings, and also at that point, White, like, why is he still out there?
Sure.
On the Jennings front, the sense I got was basically he's asking for a price X somewhere north of
Okay.
10,000,000 per year, and obviously teams are just saying, "Not for us," so we'll see how that goes. Maybe if it does get lower, maybe Adam Peters does jump in. It's just been weird to me that there's been almost no, like, rumors about that the way
Agreed.
but okay, so we'll see. But, at a minimum, they've gotta get somebody else to be able to be that number 2 because you cannot just be like, "Oh, Brandon Duke." So I would just like to believe that they're not that blind to it. I mean, like, they bring in
Right.
Deebo Samuel last year, obviously Peters, and, it was like, "Alright, slot guy, I don't know." Okay, at least Debo was playing, like, it was a
Yeah.
relatively normal thing. It's just, he's an interesting guy. But this is obviously a whole other level, so I don't know. I mean, by the way, also, like, the 49ers still haven't cut him, which, like, I
No,
don't know
they have
what
not cut him. They have not cut him yet, which is interesting as well. I guess they're hoping to get a trade. Adam Schefter reported. Okay. But at some point, the Niners need that money, right? Like they need that 14, whatever the number is this year off the books. Isn't it also interesting the 49ers haven't done anything with Trent Williams after there was that big report, a week ago that they had to do it before league year or else? Well, we've hit the league year. There's no or else yet. Was interesting to see, too. I know you saw this about Philadelphia, how they did the thing to kick Dallas Goddard's decision into tomorrow, right? Like into the Friday, the 13th, before they have to make the call on onboarding his contract to save them some time to negotiate. That's because I was surprised that I had heard no Dallas Goddard like free agent news. Well, because he's not a free agent yet. That's why we haven't heard it yet. So
yeah.
that was kind of interesting too. But yeah, the 49er thing's wild. I would say this about Jennings, and for all the guys who are losing sleep over Romeo Dobbs being in New England. Jennings had almost 1,000 yards 2 seasons ago. Romeo Dobbs' best season was like 724 yards, which is weird because we all remember the playoff games of Romeo Dobbs where he's a baller, right? Like he has 100 plus yards, but maybe it's that weird, Green Bay wide receiver by committee world out since Devontae Adams left, or the
Yeah.
fact that he's had, obviously concussions, that's why he wears that helmet, or whatever it is. But he's never had like that big season, but he got paid like he's had that big season, right, by New England, or they're expecting him to. I mean, that's a lot of money that they invested there. So again, I know that everybody in the moment, you just want the sugar. You don't care what the outcome is later on. If it causes you to have love handles and fat, and you can't burn it off. You just want that sugar rush of, hey, we signed this free agent. But I do feel like in the wide receiver race with Alec Pierce and Romeo Dobbs, they actually dodged bullets. I mean, I think
Uh,
they dodged a couple contracts that are not good.
I love complaining about aggregation and stuff. So I just did
Yeah,
a quick Google search about Jawan Jennings. So I got let me see what's out there today, and I see something that says Jawan Jennings linked to Eagles as possible AJ Brown replacement. I'm like, okay. So I look, and it's not Schefter or a
right.
beat reporter. It's just somebody saying, hey, he would be a good fit if they. Well, that's
Why
not
not?
linking. Hey, I'm gonna link. You know what? It would be really cool to go on a date with Mila Kunis. Like, I mean, is that
Right.
my?
Ben
He's now
Standig
linked.
wants to date Mila Kunis if she gets divorced. Yeah, or maybe not. You don't
I
even
don't,
care.
I don't even care about the divorce. To be honest, that's fine. Um, yeah. So we'll see. I mean, look, I don't want to like I said, the Ayuk thing is a whole thing. If somehow they are literally just waiting out Jawan Jennings to lower his
Right.
price, and they did get him,
That'd be good.
like that would be because I've been looking at it like, look, I think I like the getting Chigakonkwu,
Yeah,
physical tight end,
I love it.
uh, the yards after the catch. We spoke to him today after he signed, and he was like, "Hey, I think I could show a lot more as a route runner that I just did not. I'm not just the guy that you have to give the ball to and I just hit people. I can like make the play." So he's really interesting. But I kind of thought I was like, okay, that's a good fallback for not getting a notable receiver
Right.
opposite Harry. So again, I'm not remotely saying they're getting Jennings. They may have no interest. I don't know, but hearing that it's a money thing right now, if that's accurate, and I heard it from a couple of people, then maybe at some point he's gonna have to drop the asking price, and maybe Adam Peters then gets in, and that would be interesting. But we'll have to see.
Interesting and important, by the way. I'll tell you what, man. Everybody, again, Adam Peters is newish at this seat, right, of the job. Like this is early for him in his career as a general manager, and I remind people about this all the time. And my little bit of dealing with him, and he's very good to talk to. You know this. You've spoken to him many times too, but he's not going to give you a whole lot. And he's going to give you what he wants to give you, and that's it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's some guys that you'll chat you up like crazy, and you're almost like, why are they doing this? Like, are they insecure about what they do? He's a very confident guy, very, again, to me, I think his influence, because I've talked to him about New England and Bill Belichick before, and he really enjoyed talking about it. Like, kind of like he was, like that was like kind of his jam. I think, like, to me, that New England time and that New England influence is still very much in him, more so than like we look at him as, oh, he worked with John Lynch, so this is why the 49ers are. I think there's a lot more New England. Like, this is our price, Rachaad White.
Well,
Here, 1 year, show me $2 million. This is our price, Jason. 1 year, that's who he is. And that's who New England was. And you could say, well, sure, New England did that, but they had Tom Brady and they were world champions and they did that. But there is a lot of that in him. And you heard it in the podium when the season ended. He was like, look, it's great to, sign free agents if you know the guys in long term, right? He's okay with long term deals if you have a background on the guy within your staff and you know what you're getting into. But he was very uneasy about like, hey, if you don't know a person or the player, his character, what have you, getting these long term big money deals, you don't want to get yourself in trouble. And he's, I think, been pretty true to that. I mean, really, none of these deals are crazy. Oway, I guess we could say, might be a little bit more of a leap of faith, but there's also, off ramps on that after a few years. So I just think that New England thing really still rings true in his DNA. And I think it's shown over these first few years. And it doesn't mean he's not going to spend money because clearly he has this year. And they needed to because they don't have the draft capital. But I do think that, he's a hard bargainer. There's no question. I mean, they're not just giving you whatever. They're not going to, again, set the market for a center like the Raiders did, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I mean, we'll see how
well,
that
look,
works.
he went for some big ticket items. He went for the
Right.
top of the list, and then there is, you got to pay sticker price on some of these guys,
Sure.
but if others are like, no, we have options. I'll wait, and if you want it, cool. If you don't, you don't. All right. I of course encourage everybody to comment and ask us questions. I'm just flipping through
Sure.
here. First off, Matt W said he just joined Substack. He lives in Youngstown, Ohio. He said he did it just for me, Big Ben. Matt, much love.
Nice.
I appreciate. I
By the way, I'm
appreciate.
on Substack just to follow Ben. I don't even know what this stuff is. I mean, honestly, I got on Substack. I had no idea what it was because you started doing it. So I endorse doing this for Ben as well. It's good.
I
It's
mean,
good. Well,
it's been interesting. I mean, it was obviously very established by the time I got in, but it
right.
feels
I don't
like
really
it
know
really
much
has
about it.
picked up over the last. I'm not because of me, but like since I got on,
Yeah.
like again, this is no anything. Dolly Parton like has a thing. Bill Maher has like a thing.
Yeah.
Like I've seen politicians like every time some like when the Washington Post just unfortunately, what that
Yep.
we do to sports, some of their people came over to open up a Substack. So this is sort of the place to go. And I had on the other day Justin Rogers, who covers the Lions, who's for a long time he's been doing this here. Um, so good stuff there. All right, let me see here. Tim F, do you think they'll make moves besides potentially signing Ayuk? I mean, yeah. I mean, look, they still. I would say I probably have to get. I think I saw they have like 63 players right now
Yeah.
under contract. So if the draft, let's just say they don't get any other picks, the draft class is 6,
Right.
and then you probably have another 8 guys
Right. Free agency.
from like undrafted free agents,
Yep.
somebody like that. So that's 14. What is 63? So you still need
77.
like 20 something
A
guys.
lot of people, right? Yeah.
Right. So you still need a lot of people. So probably need at least 15 to 20. I mean, they've covered most of their needs. Obviously, we just talked about receiver. Well, I think the biggest one besides receiver is what are they doing at the offensive line? I mean,
Right.
you know, again, they
Better.
have, I think they feel like they can go with what they have if they need to, but I'm at a minimum, you've got to get more depth, more competition or whatever for Alec Grady and maybe even for Brandon Coleman. So yeah, I mean, there'll be some guys. Is there, oh, by the way, so Jacob Martin, if you're hoping for that, which
No,
after
no.
what they did the last couple of days, you shouldn't have been. But he's gone. He signed with the Titans. Jonathan Jones, right before we came on here,
Yeah.
joined the Eagles. I thought he could return, but once they went the route they did with Robertson, then you're like, all right, well, does he want to be a fourth corner? He
Yeah.
probably can be a better option somewhere else. So he moved on. So they still need corner depth as
I like
well.
Robertson, by the way. What he, as a person, like this is a talker. He was great today. I mean, you guys did what 14 minutes with him? He was a trip, man.
Yeah, I still needed like my coffee. Oh no, that was later. No, I you know at this point I need my coffee all
Me
day
too.
long. He gave definitely a nice shot of adrenaline talking to him. It was very. I mean, like I even just like I said to him I asked him like, so like, what's your training? Like, what do you do? He's like, oh, it's a great question because I gotta trust me. I've been on a jugs machine because I dropped way too many interceptions last year. I
That's
was
funny.
like,
Well, he also
okay,
played with one hand at one point. He had a club on. I mean, he's got to probably be a little hard on himself there. But yeah, now he's a competitor, man. I like the DNA of that dude, man. I can see why, as they like to say, their commander. Like that guy jumps out at you as well as one of those dudes. But yeah, he was good. Although actually, Chig was very interesting. Of course, the Terp. So that was an interesting one today. Here Tim Settle again. I mean, they had a good group of media people. Maybe that doesn't matter to our fans out here, but for you and I, like we like guys who want to talk and actually want to give you a little bit more than just like the boring stuff.
yeah. And I asked him settle like what was the role that they
Yeah, good
said to him that
question.
maybe helped sell you on this. And, of course, hey, whatever they want me to do.
Sure,
But eventually he said, basically, I'm here to cause chaos in the middle, which is,
nose
what
tackle,
they
baby.
did.
Yeah,
Right. At a minimum, if they're staying on, if they use more 4-3 than we think, perhaps, like they've upgraded their fourth defensive tackle and now they have a
yeah,
pretty strong rotation there. Also, Payne's a free agent after this year. Kinlaw's
yep,
going to his final year, which means
right.
sometimes that can lead to a cut. And so now with Settle, they have at least more depth.
What about Johnny Newton though? Like, what is the idea, the plan with him? Is what I want to know.
Well, is that interesting that like so they get Chigakonkwu, which
Yep.
kind of like wait a minute, what does this mean for Ben Sinnott? And then they bring in like I thought they would bring in somebody else at defensive tackle, but not necessarily whatever. I mean, Tim Settle got some pretty good money. I don't know. It's been weird. I mean, Johnny Newton has, he had the 3 sack game, but by and large,
Nothing.
hasn't done a
Right.
ton. They clearly don't love him as a run defender. So I don't know. I mean, look, guys improve. It's not like he's without talent, but
Right. He's got talent for sure.
it's 2 years in a row they've drafted or added a defensive tackle, and it'll be interesting like, if they are more in like a 4-3 or even if they're not, is Settle ahead of Johnny Newton now?
Right. Yeah. And is Newton like the D end if they're playing a 3-4, I don't know. Like what
That I that I can sort of see, but that would also mean that Payne's playing on the nose, and I can see Duran going,
yeah, Brian.
"Well, I got a contract
Not
to
the
make it real."
contract year, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting if they're really a 3-4 or they a hybrid. Are they morphing between a 4-3 and a 3-4? Just depending on who they're playing. And I kind of thought that was Durante Jones was getting at the presser. That they want to be matchup dependent, whatever how they thought would be best for each week. But maybe they've been a lot of interchangeable parts. But I mean, again, the bottom line is Newton certainly. I get it. The first year, the foot surgeries and all that stuff. Okay. But last year, I kind of was expecting the guy we saw on Christmas Day more often, right? But we just never got it. So,
Yeah,
and I'm sure they're hoping for that too this season because it's a big year for him. In terms of like, do you pick up that 5th year option
yeah.
or not?
Um,
Excuse me, they can't pick up his option. I'm sorry, he's a second.
second round pick,
Yeah,
yeah.
come on.
All right, let me. I don't want to keep us both here too long, but the big topic. We're almost out of like the main part of free agency. Free agency will obviously
Sure.
go on for weeks, but
Sure.
the main part is largely over around the league. I mean, even like Kyler Murray signed today, and
Yeah,
I guess we still got to see where our guy Kirk goes and things like that. But
Kirko.
um, my
CBS
new
NFL
best
Today.
friend,
That's my recommendation for him. But anyway,
where
NFL Today would be my recommendation for Kirk at this point.
I saw
No,
somebody
come on.
mention. I was talking to somebody. I don't think it was you. That like I saw somebody say maybe the Raiders, like an actual
Yeah, as
reporter.
a backup. They talked about it so he could back up the new Kirk Cousins.
But that's what I said. That
Those
that really
more
would be
athletic big
hilarious.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, personality wise, I would be like
Personality,
also
he's
just
Kirk Cousins, man. He really
like
is.
Kirk Cousins in Vegas just seems wrong. Like, is he? I don't know.
Seems dirty.
Um. Anyway, my new best friend Matt W asked because the draft is now where we're gonna start the pivot.
Yep.
How do you think all the moves they've made in free agency affect or narrow down who they are likely to pick at 7?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Well, listen, it right now, if we just stopped today and there was no more signings, we would say Carnell Tate at number 7 makes so much sense because you didn't get that other receiver. I kind of think what they've done, the beauty of what they've done, again, I think they'll pick up a receiver before the draft. The beauty of what they've done, I think, is let them in the unique position. But they always say, "Oh, we'll just take the best player available." But it's true, right? Like you could even talk yourself into saying maybe the guys that you thought were blue chip guys, if they're all gone, and if somebody wanted to move up, which is always the dream, hey, more draft picks, yada yada yada. It rarely works out as perfectly as you think it will to get some big stash, but you can do it. I don't think they're out of the Jeremiah Love sweepstakes just because they signed Rachaad White. By the way, I don't think they're done with it. I don't think you would necessarily say no chance on Sonny Styles or no chance on Ruben Bain just because of what they've done so far in free agency. So I think that's the good part about what they've done. They could still take any of those guys that we thought prior to this, but there's not as much pressure, right? Like if they didn't get to the ends, in what they've gotten in Oweh in particular, right, and Jason, I think you would feel like, oh my God, if like David Bailey's gone, Arvell Reese is gone, which they probably are, right? And then Bain's gone, then you're like, oh crap, then what do we do? I think there would have been like a little bit of an anxiety as to what you had at end. But I don't think you feel that now. You don't maybe have to feel like Sonny Styles is your guy just because of what they did there at linebacker with Chanel, but he's still something to find room for him. I mean, he's that kind of player. And then again, running back, yeah, Jeremiah Love. I mean, he doesn't have to stand. He doesn't have to be in the backfield. He could be in the slot. He could be out wide. He can do a lot of things, and you still could have roles for Bill and Rachaad White. Probably not long term, but you know what I'm saying. So I don't think it takes you out of anything. But yeah, right now, I guess if the Vegas people did it, they would probably say Carnell Tate seems to be the one need area and guy that could be still on the board at 7 that would make sense for Washington.
To your point of the best player available, ironically, after all the moves they've made and where they stand today, as you said, I think it's instead of narrowing their options at 7, I think it's actually widened them because
Yeah,
before I was not thinking about the offensive lineman because
yeah,
the offensive lineman, and there's a few guys that could be picked in the top 10, but at that point they had Biotis and we were
right.
assuming Brandon Coleman was going to play left guard. So, they're not going to take one. Well, now, I mean, there's no center, but like if they're, if Allegretti is, say, the center, going for an upside at guard isn't crazy. Again, I wouldn't necessarily do it at 7. I'm just saying in a year where the
Right.
people love everybody, there's that. So I mean, I think one that's interesting is, I'm with you on Love. If he's there, it'd be hard to maybe not take him just based on the potential, and the idea of him pairing him with Jaden would be crazy. Sonny Styles, like, we're assuming that Jordan McGee is ready to be the Mike, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
So we'll see with that. But Caleb Downs to me is super interesting because
Yeah.
I've had him the pick the last 3 mocks, not because I've heard that's the guy. I just
Right.
I
He'd be on
but
the board. He'd be on the board at that point. So yeah, that's not crazy. Still, even with what they did, yesterday or today or yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. I don't even remember. Yeah, it was yesterday, right?
well, if I take off this hat, I don't really have a conspiracy hat, but I'll
Yeah.
pretend I do. You know what I did today? I'll put on a conspiracy hat.
Oh,
I
nice.
did say this is how nerdy I felt today. Nobody noticed this. Why would they? Every time we did a new player interview today, I switched hats.
Oh,
I had I had like I had like all kinds of hats all over the place. Anyway, that was my fun. But if I do the conspiracy hat, what I wonder is, even if Caleb Downs isn't the pick, is there a world where Quan Martin gets traded? I don't know
right.
this. I'm just talking out loud because
Okay.
he gets benched at the end of the year.
Right.
He's not an Adam Peters pick. If Chris Paul leaves, they're down to 3 guys. Like, we've now at a point we can't really blame Rivera. Like, whoever's left is good. Uh, So, like, they clearly don't seem to be worried about keeping those guys. And Dan Quinn benched Quan at the end of the year. They
Yeah.
bring in Nick Cross. I think Quan's been playing out of position largely at free safety.
Sure.
But if I'm another team, I'm like, hey, maybe we missed out on safety. I'll take a flyer on this guy going into the last year of his deal. And Washington could use other picks. It wouldn't get a lot for him. So,
No, but they get something. And again, they need volume at this point. Although, honestly, you know this because you do more mock drafts than I would ever think about trying. This is not a great deep draft, right? Like everybody wants to be in next year's draft. Next year's draft on paper, again, it's early. Not just the quarterbacks, but just overall depth is going to be really good, just because the way the classes worked out. And yeah, this world where hey, I could stay in college and do pretty well financially, and I don't need to go to the NFL as quickly as I would in the past. So there's some guys that came back at not just quarterback, but other positions that have added to the depth of next year. And there's been a lot of discussion about this with the Jets. What the Jets are basically faking it this year because of the 2027 class. But anyway, people want picks for next year. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Commanders would be even willing to move some of these guys, as you said, in certain areas where they look like they could replenish for next year's draft, right? If it's not just a pick this year. Like everybody's like, oh my God, you only have 6 this year or this or that. But, you know, you can't, again, you can't just pick up draft picks, like it's not as easy. Everybody thinks just to move back if it's not a draft people want to move up into. I mean, I don't know, like any other draft, like where do you think Fernando Mendoza would be as a quarterback? Like, do you think he could ever be the top pick? I mean, I think this is a very unique year for him. I mean, not that he's a bad quarterback. I think there's a lot of things he does really well, but in terms of like this outrageous upside, like Caleb Williams, he's not, or Jaden Daniels, he doesn't have any of
it,
that.
it's a good the 2024 class is going to be the barometer for a
Yep.
while because you had 3 guys at the top,
Yep.
then 3 more in the top 12. 4 of the 6 have done pretty well.
Yep.
One's interesting. The other one, JJ McCarthy just got got Kyler Murray in his QB room today, so we'll see about that. But from what I've heard from people is like he would be 4th, like he or
Yeah.
now it's the way we see Bo Nix, like he or Bo Nix, like 4th, give or take.
In terms of like the draft grade, I think the ESPN did this thing a few weeks ago of like since 2021, whichever the Trevor Lawrence draft was, right? It was they had the number 1 guy was still Caleb. Then it was Trevor Lawrence. Then it was Jaden. Then it was Drake May. And this is all based on pre-draft grades, not like what they've done is irrelevant, but pre-draft
Right.
grades. And they had Mendoza as 8 out of like I think it was like 19 or 20 quarterbacks. The last quarterback was Pickett, who was barely in the first round, as you remember. So anyway, it would. So again, he's not terrible, but he's not like just like psycho upside guy. So I'm watching the Duke game here. They were losing by 8, and my pick for the Wizards, Cameron Boozer, just is doing Cameron Boozer things. I guess we could say that. Um, you know, got scratches all over him, rebound, and then just hit a three. I mean, it's just again, speaking of upside people, he doesn't have the upside as Bonston, all these other dudes. I get it, but Donstar, whatever the hell the guy's name is at BYU, but just solid baller.
How much time's left?
There's like 11 minutes left, but Duke's losing. They've been losing a lot of this game to Florida State.
All
No,
right.
because Florida State.
Well, I will go check that out then momentarily. Any final words so I can let you go watch the game in peace? I mean,
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hijack the show by looking at the
no,
phone.
no, 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 no. We've been talking for a while.
Do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think Chris Paul, any shot he comes back in, are you surprised there hasn't been a Chris Paul deal yet?
I, look, I assume there's always a possibility of, if the price gets to a certain point, but based on where the price supposedly was, I guess I would still be surprised. Um, am I surprised he hasn't got a deal done? I mean, I guess a little bit.
Right.
I have not sat down and looked at the whole board.
Like you
I've
don't
just been
market? Yeah,
I've just been hyper focused on the couple positions that they need. So I don't really know what is happening in that market per se. But yeah, I mean, if he doesn't get at least like say 10 a year, then the hype was overstated.
sure.
That said, I've talked to people who were here, with this organization, and they're like, dude, I'm telling you, go watch the tape. Like that guy had a really, really, really good year, and it's only going to get better. So, I would doubt it. I guess I still wonder though, yeah, what is their plan? I mean, there's
Right.
a couple guys who are centers out there, but
Yeah.
again, what are they? Just waiting out the price. I don't know.
Yeah. And then, if obviously, I mean, Coleman's event is definitely there. Or is it somebody else, or is Algretti if they find a center kicking over that direction? It'll be that's the interesting thing to me, and obviously whatever happens with this next wide receiver position that we all assume they're going to sign, and
That
is
would that
Brandon
That'd be
Ayuk.
funny if
So
they actually sign a center, and then the left guard battle is the two guards that got benched last year.
yeah, I mean it's not out of the question, right? I mean it's definitely not the craziest thing ever.
Um, yeah, I'm just looking here really quick. Okay, I don't see. By the way, James Pierce got charged with 3 felonies today. When the Falcons, it was weird enough when the Falcons last year gave him a first round pick to move up to like late,
Right,
like second half of the first round.
right,
To do it for a guy that had like, because we were obviously all
yeah,
pondering him here because the
yeah.
talent off the charts, but whatever.
Well, they've
But
had. I mean, no wonder those guys got fired. By the way, right? Like the whole, like the GM and and Raheem, right? Because it's hard to separate like who made those decisions. With first of all, Penix, the Cousins, the Penix thing. Like they were just never on the same page. And then again, to go crazy for Pierce, and then obviously all these red flags are out there. It's a disaster.
the Cousins Penix thing is an all time.
Stupid.
I
Yep.
mean, when you make the Cousins signing, okay, you want to draft a quarterback later, go ahead. But like,
I mean, you can't do it in the first round. Yeah. Just
yeah,
can't do it. You made his position. He was already uncomfortable immediately. Then you just made it worse because you missed out on other people you could have helped the rest of right.
and everybody wants to see the kid. Nobody wants to
Right.
see. I
Nobody
mean,
wants to see the old guy.
God bless
Right.
Kirk Cousins, but he's not
Right.
Tom Brady, so it's
No.
not.
Right. No, it was such a dumb thing. I mean, they blew it so many ways, and that's why Kevin Stefanski's there right now, and Matt Ryan for that matter, right? And Ian
Yeah,
Cunningham,
they also hired Ian Cunningham as the
yeah,
GM. He was in theory the number 2
the
down
backup,
here.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. All right, you rule. Would you like to promote anything? You've got tons of stuff. You got the Believe in Commanders
Yeah, we got
podcast.
another Believe episode tomorrow. Myself and Anthony Armstrong. It feels like we're chasing free agents. Like every time we tape one, like 5 minutes later, like there's like 10 signings or not 10, but you know what I'm saying. And then so tomorrow we'll be caught up, maybe not, but mostly caught up. We're gonna tape again tomorrow and have one. We have an episode out now. And Believe in Commanders podcast, and I do a radio show every day here in the 757. 94.1 ESPN Radio. We were a Priority Lexus ESPN Radio. Anyway, we were here every day, 3 to 7. So find us there at Jackson Sports on the X. And Well, Florida State, they're playing well. They're up by 3 right now. So.
You're Mr. College Basketball. Saturday, going for the tournament.
Are you really?
Yeah, in the championship game of the America East. I think they were the 1 seed.
UMBC, actually, I think you guys got a couple former Monarchs. I think it's Caden Diggs. Yeah, you guys picked up Caden Diggs. I don't think Devin Caesar plays, which is probably smart on your part. But anyway, yeah, you got some ballers on that, some guys on that team. So yeah, good luck. Hope you make it. It's always fun, a fun time of year with the mid majors. Sadly, it's been like I don't know, like 5 6 years. I don't know since my.
You could tell me David Wingate, Reggie Williams, and Muggsy Bogues were playing for them. I have no idea, but
They're
no,
definitely not playing for him. Man, I tell you what, Boozer, I don't know how he doesn't have like a staph infection with all the scratches on his arm. It's ridiculous. I mean, get this kid something on his arm to protect himself. Crazy.
funny time. All right, well, good stuff. I appreciate you
All
doing
right.
this.
Thanks for all the
Out of the goodness of
Substackers.
your
I didn't
heart.
even know this thing was out here until Ben got on it. Appreciate you doing that.
You rule. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Again, if you also, I put, oh, I should have said this earlier because I'm a terrible at promoting things. New podcast coming up on Last Man Standing. I spoke to Greg Nejma, who's been a long time NFL front office director of the Jets, co personnel director with the Jets, and we spoke about OA, Jason, just the Commander's approach in general, and what kind of goes on behind the scenes when you have to make adjustments on the fly with contingency plans. So that should be up maybe by now or shortly tonight. So if you're still listening, you want to hear more of this, that's a good interview that is up on the site. Otherwise, you guys rock. As always, if there's something else we should be doing and talking about here, let me know. And always appreciate the feedback. Peace. See you guys and gals.